It's tea time.
We're going to change the name of the show to the Tea Time Radio Podcast. It's tea time, everyone. Welcome back to the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast. We're bringing all the tea today. I got Stephanie Postell with me. We're bringing all the tea. Hope everyone's ready for it. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Super excited that you're here. Super excited that I'm here. Honestly, it's just so much fun to be able to do this for you all each week. I've got a really cool guest with me this week. We've got Stephanie Postell from, did I say that right? Postell?
Yes, Postell.
Stephanie Postell from Anchor Heating and Air out of Charleston, South Carolina. Really excited. We're here at the Women in HVACR event, recording live. Past few weeks, I've been, slowly putting out some episodes from that event. Just an awesome all-around event. The energy was really great. The networking was phenomenal. And really, I believe that this is an event that I'm definitely going to mark down to come back to in the future because just have really, really enjoyed it so far. So Stephanie, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. How you doing?
Very, very excited to be here. It has been already a great event. No doubt about that. Getting ready to get all fancy tonight. Everybody's going to be having fun and dancing at the gala. So
it's going to be cold out there.
Yeah, it's going to be cold and we're in Phoenix.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're in Phoenix and the weather for this is like scheduled to be like 50 or forecasted to be 50. It's gonna be cold. Yes. So a second ago, I was talking to you all in the past tense saying that it was such a great event and all this stuff. And now we're talking in present tense. So anyways, the event's been great and really thankful for the Women in HVACR for having us out here to record podcasts, to just attend and even be able to come to an event like this, which is great. And I think that it's as important. It's certainly not a surprise to anyone that the heating and air conditioning trade, or any trade for that matter, electrical, plumbing, roofing, solar, it's pretty much a male-dominated industry. So it's really cool to see stuff like the Women in HVACR and all the people that show up to support it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's awesome. This group especially is not only what you would think about women in the trades as far as just being, in the office or business owners, but this group is also about women that are in the field and that are really contributing to what's going on, whether it's residential, commercial. There's such an opportunity. And this group specifically really brings both of those pieces together. So it's really great that we can get together and network and share and empower each other to keep reaching for huge opportunities.
Yeah. So Stephanie, why don't you go ahead and you just kind of tell our listeners out there a little bit more about yourself and your experience and your history in the trades.
So I am currently the co-owner with my husband, David, of Anchor Heating and Air in Charleston. And we are like commercial, residential HVAC company. But I've been in HVAC for a little over 10 years now, I think. I started doing sales, marketing, and business development for a company, and grew in that company to be the operations manager and help grow that company sizably, which was a great experience, and actually was really great for me to learn operations and just growth overall. And so left that company and started another company several years ago, and had a partner, and sometimes partnerships don't go very well. And so we left that company actually, and then now started our own company that we own, and it's growing rapidly. Luckily, we have had a lot of experience, so we've been able to scale pretty quickly because we just came in and knew what we needed and who we needed, and just know the value of having great people. And so we're doing awesome. We're having a great first year. So
yeah. So I'll ask the question that I'm sure a lot of people want to know about. What's it like running a business with your spouse?
I have nothing but good things to say about it. Actually, David and I have known each other a long time and have worked together when we weren't together. So that really, I think, has been a great thing for us because I was operations, did the business side. His role was installer, then manager, install manager. And so then once we got together, we just always kind of had the rule to stay in your lane, right?
Mhm.
So he is fantastic with the service side and the maintenance side and the install side. He's an installer for 20 years. And I can run the business, and we've both grown in our appreciation for what each other does. So don't get me wrong, there's hard days. It's a lot of hard work. It doesn't
Yeah.
stop, but it's been a great experience for us.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool. I mean, I'm sure it's really special too to be able to, build a business with, with your better half.
It definitely is because there's in the, darkest times, there's nobody to rely on but each other. So, and somebody that always understands how hard it is. So that's been a good thing for us as well. And we've been through some pretty hard times. When you grow a business and, and you lose a business, then it really, we were the only ones that knew how hard that was and the heart and soul we had put into it. But we also didn't have any other choice but to get started again,
Yeah.
and we did that too. So we have lots of things to be thankful for and grateful for.
Yeah. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced in your full year in business?
I think the hardest thing is we are both so used to having a larger company, and so it's like how quickly to scale.
Mhm.
Sometimes we've had to slow ourselves down, but we've had just so many good people around us that we've been able to get lots of good advice, and so I think also wanting to just maintain the level of service that we're accustomed to, and sometimes not having the manpower at the right time, to be able to do some of that. So having to say no here and there. We've learned again on the same vein to stay in our lane, and so sometimes being able to turn down work or things that just didn't line up or that we weren't going to be able to be successful at. That's been a good thing for us too. But I think we've learned that over time, right? So
Yeah.
if we were newer in the industry, we would probably take on some jobs that weren't right for us because we are hungry and felt like we had to make money. But we've just learned that sometimes the best job you can get is the one you don't take.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
I mean, that's really good advice for any business owner, I think.
Right.
I mean, I've run into similar situations. I think anyone who's ever run a business before has ever been like, it can be shiny and it can be tempting. But sometimes, you quickly realize, wow, I wish I hadn't done this.
That's right.
And those end up being, it could be the most, the as far as ticket sales go, it could be a huge job, but it could also be a huge nightmare, which causes burnout and inefficiencies across the board. So
That's right. Well, I mean, we never want to disappoint our customers, right? So, I mean, our thing is always to, under promise and over deliver. And if it doesn't check those boxes, if it doesn't line up with the values of our company and what we want to be able to do, it makes it so much easier to just say, we should just walk away from this one. It's funny, we do very little new construction because of that, right? We
yeah,
provide really high quality service, and we don't want to work for the lowest margins. And we had a company who pursued us, and we looked at the job, and we were excited, but after we left, we were like, we shouldn't do it, right? Like
yeah,
it really is just not what we can't do it the way we want to do it, or we think we can't, based on what they're saying. So we should just walk away. And we called the guy back and we said that. We were like, it just doesn't line up with how we want to do this. And he said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. What do you need? What do you
yeah,
need? And honestly, we did take the job because he was willing to meet us where we needed to be met so that we could deliver the right service. And
yeah,
so sometimes I guess we were playing hard to get, and he got us. So,
yeah.
but
Well, you got to do that sometimes, especially like if you have a process and you have a certain way of doing things, and someone can come in and say, you know, I'm going to hire you to do this, but you're going to do it this way.
Right.
Well, it's like sometimes you got to play hard to get with those folks and be like, well, then you can find someone else to do it.
That's it.
And then maybe then they'll back off a little bit, or they'll call your bluff and go
Yeah.
find someone else. But either way, you don't lose, because
Right.
they either meet you in the middle or they find someone else.
Right. Well, because then we would have lost money on a job that and we wouldn't have been happy with what we delivered because we couldn't do it the way we want to. So, but again, I think logistically, that's probably been a lot of our challenge this year is just, being not having the manpower yet because we want to scale appropriately and wanting to provide more. But we have a plan for that. So watch out 2023.
Yeah, watch out 2023. Big things coming
Yes.
for Anchor Heating and Air.
That is exactly right. So
Yeah, there's a sound
you
effect.
see this branding?
Yeah. Great
That-
branding. Dan
yes.
killed it. The vans, I
Always.
can't wait to see the vans. I can't wait. And you guys got a lot of good stuff going for you.
It's going to be huge for sure.
Yeah. So we are here at the event, Women in HVACR. And I think it's appropriate for us to talk about some of that. Like as a guy, I think it's important that more guys talk about this. Like this is a predominantly male industry, and I mean, it's not anyone's person's fault. It's that reason. And it's not an issue or necessarily a problem. But I think that there is we all know that there's a labor shortage. People keep saying, I can't find anyone. And two, there's plenty of room in this industry for anyone to come in and have a nice career. So I think it's important that, we start having the conversation a little bit more about like women in the trades and how they can get into the trades, and how, in particular, how men can be, I guess, advocates for them getting in the trades and what that looks like.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're a great example of that. Our daughter is riding along, has been in the truck with David for almost 6 months. She had been working at a hardware store. She wanted to go to college, and she went to college for about a week and realized that wasn't for her. And we were like, that's fine. It's not for everybody. And we have an office position. Why don't you come in and help me out in the office, and let's see how that goes. And she did. And about the third day, I said, well, it'd probably be great if you rode with your dad so that you can see what's going on in the field. So when people call in, you have an understanding of that. And she never came back. She got in the truck with them and she loves it. And
Awesome.
She is 19, almost 20. She's precious. She's, she's doesn't, probably fit the mold of, because what would you say? The mold is girls don't go in the field, right?
Yeah.
And it just every bit of it is what she loves. The troubleshooting side, the talking to people and trying to help them understand what's going on. And I think it's huge that, she has a dad who is supportive of that and is helping her find what is best for her. And it was just because of an invitation, right? Like,
Yeah.
come out here and see what's going on. Not really knowing that, she was going to love it, and she's just doing a really great job. So I think the biggest thing is we've known in the HVAC industry probably before a lot of other people that there was going to be a labor shortage. I mean, I remember when I came in 10 years ago, the whole statistic of like 65% of the whole industry, the technicians, were going to be retiring in the next 10 years. Well, I mean, here we are, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that we were a little bit prepared for that. But I think that women are can be great technicians. And it's a place where they can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be fostering and have been. We're looking forward to Haley getting to understand each part, maintenance, service, installation. She's going to know how it works, and then she's going to be in a truck in the spring, right? So,
Yeah.
So that's huge for somebody. She's actually already bought her first house.
Wow.
So, I mean, how many other kids are 19, females are 19 bought their own house because they've gotten into an industry that is going to afford them those and has afforded those opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that the stigma has always been like, up, the guys are in the field and the gals are work in the office and answer the phones. And in some instances, like if that's what everyone wants to do, like that's cool and all.
Sure.
But I think I don't know. Like I kind of think like, why aren't there more female service technicians? Like anytime I call an appliance repair or landscaping or pest control, it's always a guy. And I always just wonder
Sure.
like, why not? Why aren't there? Because I know that there are females out there that are in the trades that
I
are
think
hands
it's
on.
just the question, right? Like why don't you try this? Right? I
Yeah.
mean, have they been invited into seeing what that means and what it looks like? Because a lot of times, just because of who females are and how they interact with people, their attention to detail, they talk more, right? So then you're able to talk to a customer that's having a problem or an issue and help them understand it in a different way. I know that I ride with David in the truck on the weekends when he is on call, and he loves it because when he's doing the technical side, I'm talking to the customer about the problem, what we've seen, it's just a different connection
Hmm.
that, you have with the homeowner. So, and they enjoy that interaction. And I think that's why, they're certainly, if we are inviting females into the industry to learn what it's even about, they're going to be really good at it.
Yeah.
So it's more, I think it's just more of an invitation.
Are you ready for a tough question?
Oh, geez. Yes.
What are you and David's biggest fears about sending Haley out into the field?
I mean, I think you have to be worried about crazy people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just people out there that may be inappropriate or may not take her seriously. So that's certainly, we've definitely thought about that, and we know at least initially we can control a lot of that, depending on where we send her for maintenance, or have these been long-term customers and do we know them.
Mhm.
So, and I think those are real things to discuss and to consider for anybody in this industry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't. You have to be careful about that for your male technicians sometimes, but certainly females, face other challenges.
Yeah.
I think that's what stinks sometimes. If I'm going to be very honest, we're on TikTok. We have a great following. To be honest, when Haley is on our TikTok, we get great engagement because I think people like to see a female in the industry, and it's not as they don't see it as often. But sometimes I'm appalled at the comments
Mhm.
that people make. I'm like, why would you ever say that? Would you say that about a male that was on there? You're not. I mean, you don't make those comments when David or one of our other technicians are on there. So I think
Yeah.
that's what makes it difficult for a female to then feel comfortable in the industry. And so what if she quits because of that? That's terrible,
Yeah.
right? And so I think we just have to be very aware of those kinds of conversations and things that we say to people when they're in our homes.
Yeah. I think like the thought of growing, like females in the trades is very similar to male nurses.
Right.
Like I remember growing up, like it was always like, nurses are females. And then I
Right.
met some guys in college that were going to school for nursing. And I'll be honest, like they got picked on.
Right.
They got picked on by other people because like they were going into, um, I'll go ahead and say it, they were going into a woman's career as
Right.
what they would, what everyone was saying. But it has become a little bit more normal, I
Mhm.
think, for like men to be nurses, for guys to be nurses. But I feel like that would be eventually accepted, but
Yeah.
I think it's just so new. So what do you feel is like the biggest hurdle that this industry has to overcome when it comes to, women in the trades and, I guess
Yeah.
adjusting that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just perception. And I think it's, there may have to be different accommodations to get to the same end game, right?
Mhm.
Haley needs strength, right? And so there's something to that, right? You may have to initially send her to different calls than you would send somewhere else. But does it mean that we need, an 8-foot ladder instead of a 6-foot ladder because guys can get up there and push themselves through the scuttle hole? Well, if that's the case, I'll buy an 8-foot ladder, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think it's employers thinking about that, where in the end, you're gonna get a great job done by somebody who's gonna show up for work every day and be committed to your company. And if the worst thing that you had to do was, get them a pad so they sit up higher in their seat in the van, or they
Yeah.
have another ladder, then those are the kind of conversations that we need to be having to take away the obstacles that might be in their place, or in front of them, so that they can do a good job. I think you don't think about little things like work pants and uniforms and that kind of stuff. Those are things, again, that women have different needs than guys do,
Yeah.
right? So we are actually doing a little series. I got David and Haley to sit down to talk on TikTok, and one of the things was, she said, get really good, comfortable work pants. And that's not, you don't hear guys saying like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
really should have good pants." But what if that's what a woman who's thinking about going into the industry is concerned about, right? I don't like
Yeah.
the uniform, or I got to wear boots, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that, again, just that communication and saying, what is it going to take to get you out there? Because that's going to get me a great employee.
Yeah. No, that's all really good stuff. I think that a lot of people probably don't think about that at all.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah. So I lost my train of thought there. All right. Oh, the ladders. Okay. So what are some other things like, so obviously, like you said, maybe get an 8-foot ladder instead of a 6-foot ladder.
Sure.
Like what are some other things about that though? Because um you got like, is there different things that they have to do with like the truck? Are there different things that they have to do with work hours or
Yeah.
benefits or anything?
I think there could be, for sure, but I think we're kind of in a place in our industry where we're customizing benefits and things for all kinds of different employees, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we know now that everybody doesn't love 8 to 5 or 70 hours a week, or some people don't like on call. Some people, some people like to work 12 to 8. So we're making accommodations in different ways. So what if we do have, a female that's like, maybe I'm a single female, a single mother, and I've got to drop my kids off at school, so I can't be at my first call at 8 o'clock. Okay, we'll be there at 9, right? But
Yeah.
that's just a conversation to say that we're going to work around whatever that means, so that, again, we can have a great employee. But that is, to me, what it means to be an employer of choice, right? That's for any employee. How can we work around, do you like 4 days a week? Do you like a different schedule? And if we can do that, I think that we can really open it up to having a larger talent pool.
Yeah.
Could be that a single mom only wants to work on the weekend, or they want to work later. I don't know. I mean, again, the same could be same thing for a guy.
Yeah.
But if we can work around those things, I just think we'll have more people that are willing to come in to the trade. And also, there has to be work-life balance regardless. And you have to say that, and you have to mean it, and you have to stand behind it. And so if you want to have a lot of hours, then we can provide that. But if you want to work 40, then we can provide that. So,
Yeah. That's all really good stuff. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that, I think there's definitely, I think, I mean, just based on what I've seen here at the event, there's definitely a movement of sorts going on where it's being talked about more, which is good.
for sure.
And there's scholarship funds and advocacy
Mhm.
programs and stuff like that, which is all really good.
Lots of money, and I think also, there's just lots of companies out there that, have the ability to have some apprenticeships so that you can get the hands-on training. Haley hasn't gone to school for HVAC yet. Everything that she's done has been hands-on. I do think now that she's got a good grasp of what the industry means and looks like, it makes sense for us to invest in sending her somewhere to get additional technical training, because, again, she can learn lots of stuff from her dad, but when you hear it from Joe Cunningham or somebody else, it means something, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the next step, and that would be a normal progression for anybody that we brought in that we wanted to, felt like we were ready to invest in them.
That is a perfect. All right, we're at the 25-minute mark. We got 5 or 6 minutes to rapid fire through this. But that was a perfect transition into a topic that I really wanted to talk to you about, which is when you said training, training, coaching, advice that you seek from the internet, Facebook groups.
Yes, Facebook groups.
Oh, Facebook groups. You love them, you hate them. They're not going
Yes.
anywhere.
No.
What? When did these Facebook groups become such a big thing? Because I feel like one day I was visiting a client in Stanton, Virginia, and he was just like, "Oh, are you in this group?" And I was like, "No." So he added me. And then this was like, I don't know, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it just seems like now there's just like another group each week with 4,000 people.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think obviously Facebook and, our industry, especially over the last several years, there's been so much change, right? I mean, with private equity coming in and the opportunities that owners have had, and more technicians, trying to get out of a truck and into running their own business. And I think it's just a natural place to go. It's an easy place to go get information, guidance, or what you think is guidance about how to run your business. And so it's natural, I think, that certain people develop as the leaders in those groups, and everybody has a different ideology, really. And there's not just one way to run a business. And so I think it definitely gives lots of things to argue about, to discuss very strongly. But it's a lot. There's a lot of good that comes out of it. The networking and all of that. The people that I've gotten to be friends with that we just met in a Facebook group, and today we can put a face and a name together and see each other in person and feel like we've known each other forever. There's so much benefit to that. But I just think we have to be careful because not everybody has the maturity or the understanding of the business. And
Yeah.
so when you're listening to certain people, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because there are, for every one bit or fact that you hear, there's 10 steps prior to that that they didn't tell you how they got there.
Yeah.
And so I think, that's where you just have to be careful to make sure that people that are coming into the industry, they're getting the right information and then able to use that to benefit them.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, it's not uncommon knowledge that social media is just a highlight reel. Like,
Right.
when was the last time you saw someone on social media being like, "Hey, uh, I'm sad.
Right.
My life's a joke and I'm fat and miserable." No, they don't talk about that on social media. They're just like, "Look how amazing I am. Look at my great life. Look at these beautiful pictures and
Sure.
everything's great."
Mhm.
It's no different in these groups. Now, don't get me wrong, you will get the occasional person that will go in there and be like, "Hey, I really need some help with this, that, and the other." And I think those groups are great for that.
Sure.
But for the most part, it's just, "Hey, look at this screenshot of my Service Titan. We made so much money last month." And that's good for you. But it doesn't share the past 18 months of you implementing processes and training people and getting your
Right.
marketing right and how you got to that point. And so when you see, startup Steve,
Mhm.
who wants to get to that point where he's hitting $1 million every month, he just sees, "Oh, this guy, is making all this money. I need to go, I don't know, just skip all the steps in the process and buy his snake oil
Sure.
or whatever that it is that they think they need to get to that point."
Yeah.
So
That's it. That's so true. I mean, I think, like I'm saying, even, with us, I mean, I have a lot of knowledge and stuff to share with people. And I do all the time have people reach out. But, when I make a comment in a Facebook group, again, you don't know the part of, running one business and leaving that business and running another business. I've made a lot of mistakes to be able to get to tell you, here's how you can do it so you don't have to make that mistake, right?
yeah.
There's a lot of value in making those mistakes sometimes. I think the other thing you have to be careful about is that sometimes you don't know the motivation behind the information you're being given. And so, are they selling something? Is there some gain that is coming from the information that you're getting? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's a lot of people in our industry that have a lot of great knowledge and they should be able to sell that knowledge. They should, great coaches, great products, all of that. But you just want to make sure that you're picking the right one that works for you. So just ask a lot of questions, right? There's always a follow-up. There should always be a follow-up in our industry. You get that answer, ask one more question.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. All right. Last tip before we dip. If someone was about to start a heating and air conditioning business, what is the best advice you could give them?
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. So that's the biggest thing that I can say is that if you don't know, go find somebody that does and just try to soak up all their information. There is so much stuff out there and people that are willing to help you and get you on the right path and keep those relationships, like grow those relationships. Don't just ask once, be the person that goes back and again, ask the follow-up because it will save you from making a ton of mistakes. The other thing, I think if you own a company and you have this ability, get great people and pay them really well. And that is the one thing I think that we just know is going to make us even more successful. When we pay our people well and take really good care of them, they will treat their customers like our own, right? We'll all be successful. So, it's a great industry. We are so blessed by it, and the people that are around us are super thankful.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all again for tuning in. There was a lonely soldier out there watching live the whole time. So thank you, whoever you are, mystery person. You didn't comment or like, so we'll forgive you for that one. But anyways, thanks for tuning in for another episode. We'll see you all next week and stay